Dude, you weigh 13 pounds. I mean, seriously, I left the bathroom door open. Oh, we're live. Hey, hi. Hello. We're back for March 14th. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, because I did what, 12th, 13th, and 14th? Is that right? Yep. Yes, it is. I did 3. This is the 3rd day. Okay. So, okay, so yeah, today's the 4th. This is March 14th, Daily Bread reading. The insight scripture is Genesis 25, verses 29 through 34. No idea why that part's white. The rest is highlighted. That's so weird. Interesting. And then the reading is Deuteronomy 23 through 25. And then we're starting Mark 14. And yay, he had the study for it, the study notes for it. So 14 verses 1 through 26. So Father, as we continue in your word, you know our hearts, you know our desires, and we just thank you that you hear our prayers, Father. And pray this in Jesus' precious name. Amen. And just continuing the prayer. I'm going to shut my bathroom door. I was thinking it was cold outside. It's not cold outside. Oh well. Anyways, Genesis. So in the biblical world, the birthright of the firstborn son involved both special material benefits and spiritual privileges. Sorry, wrong side. Oh, hold on. Hey. The firstborn was entitled to a double portion of the paternal inheritance. Deuteronomy 21, verse 17, which we read just earlier today. Most important, the firstborn was the whole, keep James in your prayers, please. He's had on a soft food diet because he has some dental work done and he can't chew, and the poor man's about to starve half to death. He heated up a tortilla, he was eating it, and I had to scold him. I said, you can't eat that. Spit it out. You can't eat that. You have to stick to soft foods. He didn't know what a soft food diet was. And been there. I know that feeling. Brandon knows that feeling. And it stinks because you'll starve to death. You'll lose weight. But you'll starve to death before it's over. Yeah, bless his heart. Yeah. It's going to be a smooth minute before he'll be able to eat. But anyhow. So yeah, keep him in your prayers because he's going to think he's dying before he can start eating solid food again. But here we go. Anyone that's been on a soft food diet, they know it sucks. Pardon the French, but it does. But here we go. Anyway, the firstborn was entitled to a double portion of the paternal inheritance. Yes, I did that. But more important, the firstborn was the head and spiritual leader of the family. Hey, James is the oldest of his siblings. The family line was maintained through the firstborn, even if other sons were named. See 1 Chronicles 7, 1 through 4. Well, let's see. 1 Chronicles 7, 1 through 4. 1 Chronicles 7, 1 through 4. I've got 7:14 on the brain because I'm thinking of 2 Chronicles. You know, if my people who are called by my name. Chronicles. Glasses would help. Oh, it's a whole new book. 1 Chronicles, yeah, 7. I'm at 13. Yeah, we got 7. Yeah, just crumpled that page. 7, 1 through 4. Now the sons of Issachar were Tola and Puah, Jashub, and Shimron. 4. 1 Chronicles 7. Yeah, that's right. And the sons of Tola, Uzi, and Rephaiah, I don't know, and Jeriel, and Jemai, and Gibson, and Shmuel, heads of their father's house, to wit, of Tola. They were valiant men of might in their generations, whose number was in the days of David, 20,600. And the sons of Uzi, Israhiah, and the sons of Israhiah, Michael and Obadiah, and Joel, Ishiah 5, all of them chief men, and with them by their generations after the house of their fathers were bands of soldiers for war, 630,000 men, for they had many wives and sons. What does that have to do? Oh, even if other sons were named. Okay. Well, you torture me with those names. Jeez. Okay. In the case of Jacob and Esau, the birthright determined who would inherit the blessings of God's covenant with Abraham. The inheritance of a land, a nation, and the line that would produce the Messiah. Although Jacob valued the birthright, he deceitfully took it from his brother. Genesis 27:35-36. We will read that shortly. But Esau's willingness to abandon his spiritual birthright for immediate physical gratification showed that he despised spiritual things. See, here again, Esau is an example of the flesh, whereas Jacob is an example of the spirit. You know, I did a video the other day talking about Ishmael and Jacob, right? And Isaac. And here we go again with Esau and Jacob, the difference between flesh and spirit. You know, even God told their mother, Rebecca, I believe it was, Rebecca, yeah, that, you know, she says, why is this birth so, you know, this pregnancy so hard? You have two nations, you know, fighting in your womb. But even then, he let her know that the older would bow down or serve the younger. So God even let her know before they were born that he favored Esau over the younger, over the older. So she knew before they were born that Esau was going to basically get the inheritance. So, you know, even though Jacob did do it in a just kind of a shyster way, but a deceiver, you know, he was you know, the deceiver, right? But then again, at the same time, Esau didn't really care much about his birthright. He didn't really care about the things of spiritual, about their inheritance or their any of that stuff. He didn't care about it. So it was no big deal to him to sure, give him my birthright, just give me a bowl of beans. Because that's about how much he thought about it. You know, and even then when he missed the blessing because Jacob put on the goat's hair on his arms and Esau's clothing, so they, you know, and since, you know, the father was blind, Isaac couldn't see that it wasn't truly his son Esau, so he blessed the wrong son. And the only reason Esau was even upset is because it was material things. You know, it wasn't because he cared about their inheritance and things of that nature and their faith in God and stuff. Sad. Yeah. But the birthright determined who would inherit the blessings of God's covenant with Abraham, the inheritance of a land, a nation, and the line that would produce the Messiah. Although Jacob valued the birthright, he deceitfully took it from his brother. But Esau's willingness to abandon his spiritual birthright for immediate physical gratification showed that he despised spiritual things, thus disqualifying him as unfit to be the lineage from which the Messiah would come. He was considered godless. Hebrews 12:16. Let's see. Glasses, please. I really want to get some contacts. Hebrews 12:16. Debbie, what are you doing? Hebrews 13:12. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau. He was profane because he rejected God's way, an example the cross, and which results are inevitable, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. He was in the family of God, but was not of the family of God, which characterizes untold millions presently. Okay. And this was written by K.T. Sim. I would literally cook anyone any food they wanted if someone would rub the muscles on my back to make them quit hurting. I need a back rub so bad you just don't even know. Every muscle and tendon in my back, like between my shoulder blades, hurt. And I don't know why. And it just won't stop. I think I'm going to ask Dr. Matson if she'll give me some sort of muscle relaxer. Muscle relaxer. That's, why not add more pills to the handful I already take? Brandon. Genesis 25:29-34. Esau sells his birthright. Now Jacob cooked a stew, some say beans, whatever, doesn't matter, right? And Esau came in from the field and he was weary. I need to go see Pastor Glenda. I sure do miss her. I don't know what made me think of her just then, but I really do miss her. I need a Glenda hug. And he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, sell me your birthright as of this day. And Esau said, look, I'm about to die, so what is this birthright to me? Then Jacob said, swear to me as of this day. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Then Esau despised his birthright. And then the inside story is called God Alone Can Satisfy. $1,000 of food, jumbo shrimp, shawarma, whatever the heck that is, salads and more, was delivered to a homeowner, but the man wasn't having a party. In fact, he didn't order the smorgasbord. His 6-year-old son did. Oh, how did this happen? The father let his son play with his phone before bedtime, and the boy used it to purchase the expensive bounty from several restaurants. Oh, that's hilarious. Must be nice to have that kind of money to be able to do that. Oops. Why did you do this? The father asked his son, who was hiding under his comforter. The 6-year-old replied, I was hungry. The boy's appetite and immaturity led to a costly outcome. Well, that's the dad's dumb fault. 6-year-olds shouldn't be playing with a cell phone or dirt. Esau's appetite cost him a lot more than $1,000. The story in Genesis 25 finds him exhausted and desperate for food. He said to his brother, let me have some of that red stew, I'm famished. Jacob responded by asking for Esau's birthright. The birthright included Esau's special place as the firstborn son, the blessing of God's promises, a double portion of the inheritance, and the privilege of being the spiritual leader of the family. Giving in to his appetite, Esau ate and drank and despised his birthright. When we're tempted and desire something, instead of letting our appetites lead us to costly mistakes and sin, let's reach out to our Heavenly Father, the one who alone satisfies the hungry soul with good things. Psalm 107, verse 9. This is written by Marvin Williams. When have you allowed temptation to cost you a great deal? Why can only God satisfy your deepest longings? Because we were born and created with a God-sized void in our life that only God can fill. Dear God, please help us to remember our spiritual birthright when we're tempted to sin. When Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in and said to Jacob, I'm famished. Genesis 25, verses 3 and 4. Deuteronomy 23. Okay, the wind is still 1450 BC. Characters are still Israelites and Moses. The where is still on the plains of Moab, near Pisgah. Rolling. Okay, on the outline, exclusion from the assembly of the Lord, verses 1 through 8. Individuals with deformities, injuries, and certain ancestries were excluded from the assembly of the Lord. These individuals included men with crushed or cut off genitals, those born from forbidden unions, Ammonites, Moabites. No. The Israelites were to treat Edomites and Egyptians as friends. Edomites because they were their relatives, and the Egyptians because Israel lived in their land. Edomites and Egyptians could enter the assembly of the Lord after 3 generations. No, don't. I'm told you don't. Do not attack. Don't. Stand down, stand down. Abort any thoughts you have of attacking. Please do not attack me. I'm just a child. Aram. Stealing candy out of the grandchildren's. Mr. Bastard, to say Mommy still hasn't come to get it. And it's coming in the room. I'd like to refill it tomorrow. Okay. No, I just need some chocolate because I ate some soup earlier. Some stupid egg. Nasty dollar soup that's like a cup of noodles. It's disgusting. You never actually digest the noodles. Yeah, it's left like a disgusting taste in my mouth. Piece of chocolate. I'd rather have some Peeps, but, well, I don't have any because I ate them all. I try to tell them to come get this candy because I never know when they're home. And they don't. Last year, but they came and got the candy a month after the fact. There was no candy left. All that was left was toys. So I tried to warn them. What do I do? I like to usually get the candy after Easter when it's marked down. But, it's all good. So, 1 through 8. Individuals, yeah. Okay, so right above, verses keeping the war camp holy. Edomites and Egyptians could enter the assembly of the Lord after 3 generations. Keeping the war camp holy, verse 9 through 14. When the Israelites went to war and set up camp, the area was to be kept from uncleanliness and unholiness. Moses said this was because God was present with the army to give them victory over their enemies. If a man had a nocturnal emission, he was to go outside the camp until evening. No idea what that means, but okay. Don't think I want to know. Each Israelite has to have a small shovel to be used to cover excrement when they went to the bathroom outside the camp. Various laws and commands. I'm sure they appreciate that, especially if they're upwind. Verses 15 through 25. If a runaway slave fled to Israel for refuge, the Israelites were not required to return him or her to their foreign master. Sorry. This chocolate is not very good, and it's just like adhering to my denture. It's been hard to talk. I'll wait to eat it. Got enough in there to get that taste out of it. Okay. Israelites were forbidden to become cult prostitutes. Prostitution was a common part of the religious observances of pagan nations. Wages made from prostitution were not to be given to God to fulfill a vow or as a sacrifice. Israelites could not charge each other interest. If a person made a vow to God, they were to fulfill it quickly. If walking through a neighbor's vineyard, a person could eat grapes, but they were not allowed to bring a bag to collect them in bulk. If walking through a neighbor's grain field, a person could eat the ears of grain, but they weren't allowed they weren't allowed to harvest their neighbor's crops with a sickle. Well, the application, God cares about more than just the Sunday morning worship assembly. God's laws to the Israelites touched every aspect of their lives. The same is true of God's instructions to modern believers. Don't fall into the trap of thinking God only cares about the way we worship, what we do as a collective church, and our attendance scorecard for Sunday mornings. True discipleship to Jesus, proper keeping of his instructions should affect every part and every day of our lives. Absolutely. Okay. Wait. I don't know, every time, I swear I thought I read the wrong one first time. Okay, 23. Those excluded from the congregation. He who is emasculated by crushing or mutilated or mutilation shall not enter the assembly of the Lord. That's so hard. One of illegitimate birth shall not enter the assembly of the Lord, even to the 10th generation. None of his descendants shall enter. The assembly of the Lord. An Ammonite or Moabite shall not enter the assembly of the Lord, even to the 10th generation. None of his descendants shall enter the assembly of the Lord forever. Because they did not meet you with bread and water on the road when you came out of Egypt, and because they hired against you Balaam the son of Beor from Pethor of Mesopotamia to curse you. Nevertheless, the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam, but the Lord your God turned the curse into a blessing for you, because the Lord your God loves you. You shall not seek their peace nor their prosperity all your days forever. You shall not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. You shall not abhor an Egyptian, because you were an alien in his land. The children of the 3rd generation born to them may enter the assembly of the Lord. Cleanliness of the campsite. When your army goes out against your enemies, then keep yourself from every wicked thing. If there is any man among you who becomes unclean by some occurrence in the night, then you shall go outside the camp. He shall not come inside the camp, but it shall be when evening comes that he shall wash with water, and when the sun sets he may come into the camp. Also, you shall have a place outside the camp where you may go out. Hold on. I don't know if you want it. It's not even going. Like the best food. Eat. Shadow. Eat. Good boy. No totem. No. No, gorgeous boy. Eat. So you shall have a place outside the camp where you may go out, and you shall have an implement among your equipment, and when you sit down outside you shall dig with it and turn and cover your refuse. For the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and give your enemies over to you. Therefore your camp shall be holy, that he may see no unclean thing among you and turn away from you. Miscellaneous laws. You shall not give back to his master the slave who has escaped from his master to you. He may dwell with you in your midst, in the place which he chooses within one of your gates, where it seems best to him. You shall not oppress him. There shall be no ritual harlot of the daughters of Israel, or a perverted one of the sons of Israel. You shall not bring the wages of a harlot or the price of a dog to the house of the Lord your God for any vowed offering, for both of these are an abomination to the Lord your God. You shall not charge interest to your brother, interest on money or food, or anything that is lent out at interest. Okay. To a foreigner you may charge interest, but to your brother you shall not charge interest, that the Lord your God may bless you in all to which you set your hand in the land which you are entering to possess. When you make a vow to the Lord your God, you shall not delay to pay it, for the Lord your God will surely require it of you, and it would be sin to you. But if you abstain from vowing, it shall not be sin to you. That which has gone from your lips you shall keep and perform, for you voluntarily vowed to the Lord your God what you have promised with your mouth. When you come into your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat your fill of grapes at your pleasure. You're not going to eat his fruit, Toby. I mean it. No. 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 No, Toby. Where's my spray bottle? Where's my spray bottle? Toby? Toby? No. Let him eat his food. Toby? You may eat your fill of grapes at your pleasure, but you shall not put any in your container. When you come into your neighbor's standing grain, Toby? Toby? You may pluck the heads with your hand, but you shall not use the sickle on your neighbor's standing grain. Let him eat his food. Eating a pig. 24. When still same. Nothing's changed here. Go ahead and eat, Shadow. Eat your food, baby. Shadow, eat. Eat. Shadow. Okay, various laws and commands, verses 1 through 22. If a man divorced his wife, he was not allowed to marry her again if she remarried when her second husband died or divorced her. No, Toby, that does not mean you get to jump up and eat the rest of his food. Sorry, fat boy, you've already had 4 bowls of food. No. Lord. No. A newly married man was excused from military and civic service for 1 year. Israelites were not allowed to take their neighbors' millstones as collateral for a loan because they were an essential part of daily life. If a Hebrew kidnapped another Hebrew and forced them into slavery or sold them, the kidnapper was to be executed. When a case of leprosy was found in Israel, the people were to be careful to heed the instructions of the priest and deal with it the way God prescribed. If an Israelite loaned something to a poor Israelite, the lender was not to go into the poor man's house to collect his pledge. The collector for the loan, the collateral for the loan, or rather, the poor man was to meet him outside his house. The creditor. What? Oh, okay. A creditor was not to take a poor man's garment as a pledge and keep it overnight. Mistreating poor workers was forbidden. Wages were to be paid the same day they were earned. Parents could not be put to death for the sins of their children and vice versa. The Israelites were not to take advantage of foreigners, widows, or orphans. They were to remember how they were once mistreated as slaves in Egypt. That's not where I put it anyway, Toby. Ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. If a Hebrew farmer harvested his crops and forgot one of the grain sheaves in the field, he was not to return to the field to recover it. He was to leave it for the poor. When Alice was harvesting, you want to see this one? You want that? You want that? Eat it. Eat. Eat it. Eat it, Shadow. I told you going to. Alright, whatever. No, because Bella might want some. So you gonna eat it? You gonna reach in and grab some? You want some? That's just give me 2 minutes. Whatever. He likes to lay on his side, put his hand in the food bowl, grab it up with his little hand. Yes, hand. He doesn't have a paw, he has a hand. And bring it to his mouth. I kid you not. This cat uses his paw like a hand and literally scoops food up and brings it to his mouth. Because he's too lazy to sit up or stand up to eat. Smart boy, aren't you, Shadow? These are beautiful cats. I feel bad for being stingy with them and not giving them away when they're babies. Anyway, a creditor was not to take a poor man's garment as a pledge and keep it overnight. Mistreating poor workers was forbidden. Wages were to be paid the same day they were earned. Parents could not be put to death for the sins of their children and vice versa. The Israelites were not to take advantage of foreigners, widows, or orphans. They were to remember how they were once mistreated as slaves in Egypt. If a Hebrew farmer harvested his crops and forgot one of the grain sheaves in the field, he was not to return to the field to recover it. He was to leave it for the poor. When olives were harvested, the farmer wasn't to return to the trees a second time to ensure he picked all the olives. He was to leave the remainder for the needy. Vineyard owners were not to strip their vines after the harvest. They were to leave them for less fortunate of the community, of their community. That's pretty cool. Application. Have you ever forgotten something, left something behind, or lost something, and been unable to get it back? Have you ever asked God why He allowed you to forget it? What if God uses the things we forgot to bless people in need? What if forgetfulness is a tool in God's providential toolbox? When we understand that God's providence is providence is potentially at work in these incredible ways, we can find peace in our moments of forgetfulness, and it can help us understand that the random moments of our lives that may not be as random as most of us perceive them to be. Amen. I get sleepy. I'm ready for bed. Law concerning divorce. When a man takes a wife and marries her, and it happens that she finds no favor in his eyes because he has found some uncleanness in her, and he writes her a certificate of divorce, puts it... Wait, is that right? Why is this not the same as what I just literally read? I kid you not, I swear this is not the same as I just read. Deuteronomy 24. How weird is this? Let me go back.